The savory snack industry in Asia Pacific has seen a clear skew towards healthier, better for you snacking options in recent years, especially those with a localized twist. Within this, the meat snack sector has also seen a rise, especially amongst consumers looking for that extra protein consumption and especially in the Oceania region. So in this episode of the F&A Deep Dive, we speak with Ash Rasmi from New Zealand's Bootleg Jerky to find out more about these trends as well as the differences between healthier and less healthy meat snacks. But first, we find out more about Bootleg Jerky and their healthy premium beef jerky product.
We manufacture premium beef jerky, so it's a little bit different to the stuff you sort of would find in your gas stations and dairies and that sort of stuff. So we're not sort of interested in that market. Mm-hmm. We do more of a craft beef jerky, so we only use natural ingredients. We don't use any sodium nitrates. We don't use any artificial flavors or preservatives or colors or any sort of weird ingredients that you can't announce, that you can't pronounce, apart from maybe Worcestershire sauce. I still don't know how to say it, but it's natural. Anyway, whatever it is, it's natural. We started off using a contract manufacturer, sort of really just to test the market and see if it was something that people in New Zealand would be interested in, because up until us, there was a couple of smaller sort of guys that were selling, beef jerky. There's a lot of people selling biltong, and so up until now, beef jerky in New Zealand has had a really bad rap. They all sort of associate beef jerky with that sort of the cheaper, processed, full of rubbish stuff that you would get at the gas station. So we're trying to sort of change that a little bit, and it's really hard because everyone sort of has that perception that it is just a cheap, rubbish sort of junk food snack. As of last week, we actually have started building our own manufacturing facility. It's only small scale, but we've started. Obviously, the testing that we've done in the last 10 months has proven that there is a pretty high demand for a premium beef jerky snack in New Zealand.
All right, you mentioned biltong a couple of times. Maybe you could, explain a bit more on what biltong actually is.
The main difference with jerky and biltong is that biltong is done in big steaks. So you'll get a big steak of meat, and you brine it, and primarily you brine it in vinegar, coriander, and salt. The main difference with biltong is often it'll have a lot more fat in it as well, which is delicious, but it doesn't really help for shelf stability. It's cut in big slabs, dried over 5 or 6 days, and then sliced into sort of bite-sized pieces, whereas the jerky is sliced into small pieces, and then that's marinated for 48 hours or so, and it's dried much quicker at a higher temperature. So it's dried over half a day instead of 5 or 6 days.
Would you consider jerky or biltong like a very established market in New Zealand and even in Australia and the region, or is it still considered a growing market?
I think biltong itself, if you categorize, I think we fall into meat snacks or savory snacks as a category. But biltong has become quite established in New Zealand, and there was 10 years ago, there wasn't many people doing it, and now you can buy it at every gas station. There's a couple of big New Zealand manufacturers that are sort of really pumping out mass-produced stuff. But as far as jerky goes, we are really trying to push that our product is not what you're used to getting in a petrol station or a dairy or a bus stop. So we're trying to just really push the craft market, and in New Zealand, I don't think there's much, it hasn't been established, so we've got a lot of work to do. I think the biltong, the meat snack stuff is established for sure, and I think if you ask anyone in New Zealand what biltong or jerky is, they would be able to tell you to some degree what it is. But we are really trying to push the premium craft beef jerky, which is almost non-existent here at the moment.
If I asked you what are the main trends that you are seeing within the meat snacks market in New Zealand, what are some of those that you would be able to tell me?
like with all food groups, I think everyone is becoming much more aware of what they're eating, what they're putting into their face. So they're the trends that we're sort of seeing are more and more people are shifting to, natural products, no preservatives, no nitrates, no sugars. Like we don't brine our stuff in sugar. We put sugar in it for flavor. But I think more and more people are trying to, move towards premium products that aren't filled with fillers and nitrates and preservatives and artificial flavors. The other thing is obviously people are also moving a lot more towards supporting local New Zealand businesses, small family-run businesses, and that's across all sort of categories. Across New Zealand, like as soon as the lockdown happened, it sort of opened everyone's eyes up to how much we're reliant on big mass-producing overseas companies, where we actually have a lot of small companies in New Zealand that can do a lot of that sort of thing.
For the savory snacks market within New Zealand, what about the trends here? Would you say these trends are similar to what you mentioned for meat products, like for better for you and local ingredients?
Yeah, definitely. I think the better for you for sure. Like there's a lot of companies that are sort of coming out with, say for potato chips, for example, there's a lot of new companies that are coming out with all natural, baked, not fried. So I think across the board, I think more and more people are sort of starting to go for that all natural, premium, better for you type product across all the savory snacks for sure.
In terms of market share, perhaps, do you think meat snacks and other sort of these alternative better for you snack items will overtake, per se, like fried potato chips, extruded snacks in any time in the near future? Is that almost here?
I don't know if they'll ever take over them, and that was one of the things when when I started doing the planning and sort of strategizing how I was going to market my business, was I don't think you're ever going to overtake it's just too easy to make cheap products, and it's more affordable and all that sort of stuff to make a cheap, unhealthy type product. So when I was looking at it, I thought, how are we going to be able to compete with these mass producing guys? Like we can't do it on price. Like I thought, ours is 35% more expensive than theirs. And there's just sort of the price you have to pay, like it is what it is. You have to pay more to get a better quality product. So, it's definitely catching up to it, and you'll probably notice that all these smaller companies and the better for you type brands will start to take a bit more of the market share from the big guys. But I don't think anytime soon it's going to overtake it.